push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour, powered by the Toyota of Warren. DJ over here, Scotty over there. It's going to be a good show today, man.
It is going to be a good show. And I've seen you wear the Shaq O'Neal jersey before, but when you don it, it makes me feel good because I just think of the 90s being a kid, and they had some fun teams with Shaq and Penny. Made it to the finals that one year when Jordan was in retirement. You wonder if Shaq would have stayed in Orlando, if things would have went better for him and everything. But it's only what if, I guess.
Well,
that was a good documentary.
Which one?
The 30 for 30 on Shaq and Penny.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Years back.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Shaq, I mean, the Orlando Magic jerseys are some of my favorite jerseys in the entire league ever. And Shaq, the guys from Game Changer were ribbing me earlier about wearing a Shaq jersey and not Penny. And I said, listen, when you're a little guy, you love the big guys. You love the guys that can dunk and the guys that can, impose their will on other cats. So Shaq is, to me, Shaq all time is in the top 5 all time of basketball players.
Wow.
Nobody will ever be another Shaquille O'Neal.
It's hard to dispute that, because think of all the times and how many more points he would have scored. Like there was so many times, down the floor that they didn't call a foul because you can't call it, every possession. But just think if he was like a 70 or 75% free throw shooter, how many more points he would have scored.
Shaq and Michael Jordan together, if they were somehow scientifically maneuvered together, would be LeBron James. Like, it's the perfect marriage of power, speed, and skill. LeBron James.
Shaq and
Jordan together makes LeBron James.
Okay.
But to me, it's Michael Jordan still number 1, right? Shaq is I think LeBron's number 2. Shaq to me is either 3 or 4 based on I like Kareem in there too. We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Kareem would be 5?
Something around, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Around there. So we have a lot to get to today. We're going to talk local sports, of course, but we have some birthdays to get to, celebrity status. Scotty, you know anybody's birthday today?
Anybody that has a birthday today?
The 18th of January.
No, I don't know any. My one cousin had one yesterday, but I don't know anyone today that had one.
Well, let's get to some ones from today. Happy birthday, and roll the birthday film. First and foremost, a big birthday shout out to my good buddy, Mr. Charles Bell, continually supporting the Lisbon program. I think he was on the middle school side this year. Has been in the high school side for a long time, and a huge advocate not only of YSN but local sports. So happy birthday, Charles Bell. And then as far as celebrities go, my friend, someone you might know, Dave Bautista, aka Bautista. I guess it wasn't that far fetched. And also a guy that plays in one of my favorite films in the Marvel Universe. And I'm drawing a blank right now. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
So Dave Bautista turns 53 today. Other birthdays today, Kevin Costner, one of my favorite actors of all time, turns 67. T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals turns 23. Who else do we have here? Jason Segel of a bunch of different movies, TV and movie actor, turns 42. And that is about it. I think that's it, my friend. I mean, kicking it old school, Cary Grant was born in 1904, so he would have been very old today, but he died in 86. So happy birthday to him as well. If you would like to shout out your birthdays, whether it's on YSN or otherwise, send it over to message our social media, message our inbox here. It's info at ysnlive.com, or you can message us personally and we'll get you up on the birthday countdown. My friend, what are we talking about today?
I wanted to pick your brains. Me and Anthony talked about it a little bit at the end of Running Point, but I guess first off, I wanted to talk about some of the teams in the area, kind of who's, at least I haven't been to a game yet or called a game, but just from everything I've read on YSN and, following along, just some of the teams that have impressed me the most. But I guess first, what I wanted to know from you, Anthony talked a lot about Ysn earlier. Do you agree that they're the cream of the crop as far as the boys go? And if not, so who is? And also, who are some teams that you think are right there with Ysn?
All right, so Ysn, as I drink my vanilla cream soda by the good folks at Adirondack, which they're not a sponsor yet, but we get it next door. Yes, they are the cream. Ysn is the cream. They are the real deal. Steve Leslie told us before the season even started, he said, be ready for Ysn because they're coming. And I think they are absolutely the real deal. You look at Coach Gunther, what he's been able to do. He's got some star athletes naturally. He's got some guys in Terrence Pankey that were probably in the top 2 players from last year. Jonathan Burdovich won our player of the year, an MVP, but Terrence Pankey certainly had, I think he had every stake of claim to that as well. And Burdovich probably got it just from the sheer fact that he was a senior and Pankey was a junior. But if you're looking at best players in the area this year, Terrence Pankey's got to be number 1. And 1A, I think, would be Moy from Badger. And Badger's they've been really good this year, and they're on a little bit of a slide right now. So you're talking about teams that are in it. Badger's definitely going to be in it. I think they've got a nice matchup with Heartland Christian this weekend at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which will be on YSN. But I would say, as far as teams go, like, you got to count Louisville in. Louisville with Will Aljancic has been absolutely incredible, which I think is why they are number 2, if I'm not mistaken, in the power rankings. You can't count out East Liverpool, who has been a powerhouse and even losing one of their better players for a few games, now set to return. East Liverpool is certainly in the talk for area's best teams. That's the boys' side. I mean, you look at, even still, we saw a barn burner last night between Lisbon and Columbiana and the EOAC. Wellsville's up there in that conference. I mean, you can go Canfield. This South Range team has, they lost 5 straight to start the year, and now they're just on fire.
They've won 5 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these teams. Is that a team you want to be playing down the stretch?
And even Badger, like they're on a little bit of a slide, but they lost right at the buzzer last night, so it's like they're right there
on a freak shot. Like kudos to the young man who put it in, but that's just a freak shot, from deep. So I really like the new RPI system that we have for our top 25, and I like having a top 25 because it gives more teams opportunities to be seen, but it's also a little bit more scientifically proven. Like, there's still people out there that are pushing their agendas that, it's garbage, it's trash, it's a joke. It's science. Like you can't dispute it. It's your team's schedule, your opponent's schedule, and your opponent's schedule. And you take that based on all of that stuff, your wins, your losses, and your strength of schedule, you throw it around in a salad bowl, you pull it out, and that's the finished product. I don't know how you can dispute it. I really don't, because people are saying, well, Division 3 and Division 4, there should be no Division 3 or Division 4 above a Division 2. But that's not true. Like if you're saying yes, if you're saying, okay, well, Team X is playing Team Y, but that's not how we do things, because that would be every single time you'd see Division 1, Division 2 over top of Division 3 and Division 4, just for the competition they play. However, as you'll hear in a little bit here with Coach Scott from Heartland Christian, I've been really impressed with some of the schedules that these smaller schools have really put together. They're putting together some strong schedules, so that way when they get to the district tournament, they have a fighter's chance, because there's a couple teams in that district tournament that are absolute dogs, and you're going to have to play some teams throughout the season to get prepared for that. So I love this time of year in basketball. It's exciting. The only time more exciting is tournament time.
Yeah.
Win or go home.
And I heard, you could tell me if you agree or disagree with this, DJ. It's on another level. I heard someone say this about the NFL once, but I think it kind of ties in here with high school basketball and other sports too. Like, my opinion, you put stock in the schedule and who you play, yeah, and I do think there's definitely merit to playing, top-notch competition. But I also believe any win you could get is a good win during the season.
This time of year, yeah, because a lot of teams will try to get some warm-up games, quote unquote, at the beginning of the year to try to get their guys' legs in it, keep some legs fresh throughout the first couple games and get back into basketball shape, because it is a completely different form of shape that you have to be in. I mean, to be in football shape, to be in wrestling shape, to be in basketball shape, they're all different types of cardiovascular shape that you have to be in. So, but I think you're right. This is the time of year where you're playing some dudes, right? You're playing some teams that, they're looking for blood, because they're looking to get positioned for their draw, right? So you've got, like, I think it's next week is the seeding, essentially. So you look at the next 2-3 games and who you have. Maybe there's a signature game in there where, okay, hey, this is a signature win. It's going to be fresh on everybody's mind. And then you get a couple of, I don't want to say powder puffs, but you get a couple of easier, reaching wins that you can say, okay, we're a 10-5 team, or an 11-5 or 11-4 team, as opposed to you're a 9-6 or 8-7. Where people look at you and you go, oh, yeah, that's not good.
If you were able to, like, get in a time machine and go back to your high school
Cool.
As a player, would you rather want to play? I don't know if you said cupcakes, and like I'm for lack of a better word, I guess I'll use cupcakes. would you rather play like let's say even lesser opponents early on to get that confidence up, or do you like boom right out of the gate, right when the season starts, give me the baddest team out there and I want to face them? Or do you like kind of gradually maybe whooping on an opponent and kind of feeling good about yourself early on?
I always want to compete. And that's, I mean, that's me. Like some people are gonna be like, yeah, whatever. You want to take the easier team. I mean, when you're looking at a one game and go home situation, naturally you want the easiest or the path of least resistance to get to where you want to go, because injuries can happen. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can stifle what you're trying to do. But for me, like if I'm being honest, I want the best competition every game, because I'm the one that says iron sharpens iron. And naturally, for someone who likes competition, it brings I think it brings the most out in people. If you are a competitive person. If you're not, you probably do like those cupcakes, maybe those first round buys, or playing the team that has the highest remaining seed or lowest remaining seed, depending on how you look at it. But that's not for me. Like if I'm a 16, give me or if I'm a 1, give me the 2 right off the jump, because I'm going to put my best foot forward as long as we're completely healthy, and we're going to beat you and show you why we are ahead of you. But I can also see the point where a coach says a 1 versus 16 feels really good. You know what I mean? Like, but if that 16 beats you,
you're left with that egg on your face.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no tomorrow.
I think someone in that district, right? The district has Lisbon and Badger and all those schools, Heartland. There's going to be somebody in that district that people count out and give a really, really low seeding to, or a poor seeding to, and they're going to upset somebody. I'm really, really interested to see how that one shakes out. And there's a lot of people, because it's like a mega district or whatever they're calling it. A lot of people that are going to have their eyes on it. I'm excited to see how it turns out. When you got Richmond Heights in there, I mean, you just don't know what to expect. That's a great basketball program out there. And I might be biased, but I think there might be 1 or 2 teams from this area that could turn over the apple cart. So it'll be interesting.
And this kind of just popped into my head. Do you think possibly, as you talked about how much talent that Ursuline has, but do you think maybe a team like Canfield, maybe, they exposed them a little, they at least laid a blueprint out there?
This is why basketball, high school sports in general, are so great, because everybody wants baseball series for baseball, because they want to see best of 3, because we've got 2 pitchers that can take us the distance. I love one and dones. You put your best game out there, and if you don't, you're not going to the next step. Your season ends. You're going home. And if you don't bring your best game, and somebody else does, guess what? They're moving on. Josh Upshire, who is the coach at Badger, chiming in. By the way, I don't know if you caught the Joshua Upshire original gangster that he pulled on another station. But you want to talk about an OG who loves what we do and appreciates who we are and how much we've been there. The coach, Josh Upshire, did a cold-blooded tactic earlier, I guess late last week. So we appreciate you. He says, love this time of year. Teams are finding out their identity and learning about who they are through adversity. Nobody knows it better than Coach Upshire right now, because that was a tough loss to Fairport last night. But I love how he sees it as adversity and not the be-all, end-all. Most coaches would sit there and they would pout and they would cry about, how much their team has had success, and then they get a little bit of rain on their parade, and it's time to cut ties and go home. You might as well fold up the rest of the season. I promise you that guy, Josh Upshire, not only has he not folded, but he has completely rallied the troops to whoever, and it looks like it's going to be Heartland. It's going to be a tough day at the office. And Heartland had a tough loss last night. They're going to meet in Cleveland in the house that LeBron built, and they're both going to go to work. They're going to roll up their sleeves. They're going to go to work. This is must-see streaming on YSN this Saturday. You are not going to miss it. I believe it's at 3:30, so make sure you tune in to that one. But all that being said, Scotty, I'm going to go to an interview right now with the guy that Coach Upshire will be facing off against this Saturday, Josh Scott in the coach's corner for Heartland Christian. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another round. Yes, it is another season of Heartland Christian Coach's Corner with one of my good buddies, Mr. Josh Scott. You call him okay. I call him great. Great Scott, and he is back. He's leading his team to an 8-5 overall record this year. Coach, it's been a little bit of up and down this year, and naturally we're going to talk about that here. But overall, what's the sense of the Lions this year, and what team that you've been able to put on the floor time and time again?
Well, we knew coming into the year that we would have the inexperience factor, that we had a lot of guys that just hadn't played varsity minutes in big time situations, and the ones that did letter outside of Luke Reynolds and Drew Walker and then Will Morgan and Jake Walker, those guys played a little bit, but anybody else we were going to put on the floor was pretty much brand new to the game, to the varsity game. So we knew that we were going to have to hang our hat on defense, and I think our guys have done that. And just, find a scoring rhythm. And we're still working on that. And some days it looks great. Some days it's a challenge. And that's just how it goes. But we're just working on building consistency. That's for sure.
I think it's always crazy when coaches talk to me about when they have a young team or a team that doesn't exactly have that varsity experience, that defense will always come first. Why is that? Typically, you think offense is a little bit easier to practice. Am I wrong there?
Yeah. No. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I think with offense, it's just sometimes, offense is so much about timing and angles and rhythm. And there's so much to the offensive end, where on defense, we actually have gone back to like really old school. We don't switch. We soft hedge. We are who we are. We did that at Sebring when Coach Zamuda, who's on our staff now, when he was a senior, it was basically, this is what we do. Don't care if you know it. This is how we're going to play, and that's what our kids have bought into, and they're doing it really well. I think at one point here, I mean, we just gave up in the 50s the last couple games, but we were at like a 45.7 offensive points per game for our team, and that was, for us, that's really good. And if we can hold teams into the 40s or even the low 50s, then we have a chance to win the game every night. So
Heartland Christian Coach's Corner presented by Community Caregivers. Josh, one of the biggest things that you and I talked about in the offseason was losing your primary scorer, losing one of the bigger names that's come through Heartland Christian in a while. How do you replace that? And your guys have been up to the task so far.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a committee approach. We score by committee, and we've been really preaching about sharing the basketball and being a team that's super unselfish. And our team is that way. Sometimes our offense, the way that it's built, can look a little bit. I don't want to say selfish, but just kind of like a one-man deal. But it's usually when our guys are just trying to make plays. We talk about that all the time. That we're at our best when we're moving the ball, and when we have 5, 6, 7 guys that are scoring closer to double digits. That's what we've been working on. And to me, it's a little bit more fun because it was a challenge for Jonathan to have to get his shots because everybody was paying attention to Jonathan, and clearly him being our best scorer, it was a challenge every night because we saw so many different defenses and different things going on there. So I think for the kids, it's a little bit, I shouldn't even say more fun. It's just a little bit, it helps with the flow of the game, and it's probably more enjoyable when anybody can step up. And we did have that last year too, but when you have so much emphasis on one guy on both ends for both teams, it definitely can be a challenge. So
I'm always interested because leading scorers come and go, right? So you talked about JB from last year. This year, Luke Reynolds is your leading scorer, almost averaging 14 a game. But the distribution, like you kind of emphasize, it's a little bit different. It seems like it's five fingers make a fist, and you guys have been punching your way out of some situations. How is it different in coaching guys that anybody can score, as opposed to, like you said, JB's going to get his shots, and everybody's looking for Jonathan Berdovich to take that shot every single trip up the floor?
Yeah, I think that's to add to that, we just have guys that it's a unique team because we have guys like Will Morgan, Jake Walker. I mean, they've had a couple games here recently where they've put up almost 20. I mean, it was like 19, 18. Will's had a 20-point game here or there. Drew Galt has come in and scored, in the mid double digits on multiple occasions. Drew Walker's done that. Seth Walker comes off the bench, hits 3 threes in the Columbiana game off the bench and can score, and he can do it in bunches. So we have some guys that can light it up. And I guess it's just a matter of that, again, the consistency factor, those guys being able to come in and learn how to do that. And it's a grind. I was just talking to another coach here recently that, about, and even to our team, about hitting the wall in January. In mid-January, a lot of teams hit that wall where it's a long, grinded out season. And this is that time of year where you kind of really separate the men from the boys at that time when it comes to tournament time and records and bios and all the things that are going on, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. So we're really getting on the guys and really challenging them now, but we're just trying to build that consistency on the offensive end.
To me, I love your schedule. You really challenge your team week in, week out, game in, game out. And obviously you've got a big one coming up, which I love when you guys and when teams go to the professional venue. So you guys are going to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Is that a treat for you guys, or is that like a game that you look forward to and you say, hey, we've got it, we're going to have some eyes on us that typically aren't? How do you manage that?
Well, I know Coach Upshire is trying to be YSN's #1 fan, but I don't know if he drank from his coffee mug today.
Let's get a close up of that.
But anyway, we're looking forward to our big game with Coach Upshire and the Braves. It's a really good team that they have, and our kids to get that experience up at Rocket Mortgage is just incredible. And even my kids they've been talking about it for weeks now, to go up and be the ball boy and ball girl and just be in that venue and get that experience. And we know it's a huge challenge because it's a really good team, but we have them twice coming up. We have Valley again. We have Salem on the road. We've got West Branch coming in. We have not tried to shy away from preparing ourselves for the tournament. And, when you're an independent school and when you're a program that is trying to turn that corner a little bit and trying to become a team that, can make a little bit of a run and just win a couple games, I think you have to try to prepare yourselves. And to be honest with you, it's harder to schedule sometimes when you're independent and maybe you've had a little bit of success. I found that as the AD also, that sometimes scheduling for basketball can be a little bit more of a challenge. But that's something we're really proud of too. Like, it's not Heartland Christian isn't everybody's senior night anymore or homecoming game or whatever, and that's something we take seriously because we're trying to build a program of being competitive and hopefully above all glorifying God with how we play and honoring him. But playing those other teams, that's how we can get that done too. And I've always said the last couple years anyway, I've been saying it'd be kind of neat to be that team that maybe flies under the radar, 500-ish, playing some better competition and being that team, not a lot of people want to play in the tournament.
So that leads me to my next question. I mean, this tournament is going to be wild the way it's set up this year. And you obviously had the ability, even before the year and even in the midst of it, with some cancellations, to upgrade your schedule a little bit. How do you, does it take a toll on the player's psyche a little bit when they look at their record and they say, okay, we know that we're playing really good teams. We know we should be, if we played a cake schedule, we'd be 16-0 or whatever it may be at the time. But you're playing some teams that are some dogs, and you're getting in some dog fights. Does it play with the guy's psyche at all? And do you have to coach that and kind of mentor that notion of, yeah, our record probably isn't what we want it to be ultimately when you take the floor, but at the same time, we're playing up constantly.
Yeah. It's going to have to, if we're going to have success, we're going to have to figure it out. And I don't know that answer because, even last year when we built up the schedule, we had Lowville and St. Tom and South Range and JFK and, some of these teams that have been traditionally really good and still are. Some of that is we were fortunate to win some of those games. And, losing doesn't always necessarily mean that you haven't gained from it either. And that's what we're trying to preach to these guys. All of our kids, the one thing that's special about the kids that we have now, and even down to the junior high level right now, when you talk to them, these are games they want to play. They're asking for this. Coach Franken in baseball, a lot of the same kids, they're playing Glen Oak at Thurman Munson Stadium this year. They're asking me to schedule, some of these big Harrison Central. There's you look at our schedule, and it's no different in baseball too. And you can't help but to love that mentality. You just, to me, I'm like, hey, I love that you guys want to go out and compete. I love that you want to get this done. And there's a bit more than just winning, and obviously, but there is that fine line of, if you drop a few games in a row, can you keep that psyche of going in? And I think these kids are strong-minded enough to do that. I really do.
I love it. I mean, that's one of my favorite things when coaches take that challenge upon themselves and upon their kids, and they say, hey, we're going to go up against Goliath no matter what we look like, and we're going to come out better because of it. And you guys are absolutely doing that. All right, last question for you. I mean, we've had, great teams behind us in Heartland Christian, and there's obviously a nice pipeline of young men coming up through, and women as well, through all your sports at Heartland Christian. You're doing a great job as the athletic director there, Josh. But I got to ask you, this year, what is the kind of motto? What's the kind of creole for your team that you guys have placed, and what are you hanging your hat on?
Oh, well, I think that it's not a ton different, but this group, like I said previously in the interview here, is defense was absolutely the first and foremost thing that we've talked about for baskets. And just the hard work that, everything that we do has to be earned. I think the kids, we had a long talk about that last night, even after our game with Minerva. Minerva did a great job. They came in here and exposed us and some of the things that we need to work on. But as I explained to those guys, and playing these bigger schools and these schools that are, the big time competition, and supposed to be better than us on paper and all of those things, is that, we can learn from all that and we can grow. And that's really the thing that we've been preaching to these guys for a while now, is that we want to peak in the middle of February and be the best. Obviously, we want to be the best basketball team every day that we can be. But we want to continue to improve and be at our absolute best, come tournament time, and give ourselves a chance to do something special that way. And I think even with the girls' side, they're maybe a little bit different in the process. Like when we first started with the boys, Coach Lib and the girls are in a similar boat right now, where they're, testing the waters, getting it figured out, learning how to do things the right way. But I think they're going to come along as well. I think that I really do. I think they're, again, just in that same boat of we're going to figure it out and learn how to go and do things. I think winning is a process, and it's not easy. Anybody that's done this long enough has learned that, and would know really well that you take all the wins that you can get, because it's super, super tough to do. And, once you've learned that and the kids understand that, that's when you can get to like kind of where we are now, that, hey, we know how to win, but now we want to go and we really want to go and challenge ourselves now. And let's see if we can get to that next level.
Maximize it. I love it. The great one, Josh Scott, right here with your Coach's Corner, brought to you by Community Caregivers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
Helps if you turn the mic on. Welcome back to the YSN Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. DJ and Scotty with you here on this Wednesday. Scotty, we just had a great, another Scotty on board with Josh Scott, and he had a lot of good things to say about this year's team. They've been battling through adversity. You and I talked about it a little bit before we talked to Coach Scott. Adversity. It's a buzzword. It's a word that we love here on this network, that I love personally. Do you feel that teams that go through adversity throughout the year can be shined up a little bit more come tournament time? Or do you think that it's easy to just kind of cruise through and then realize the tougher times are ahead when you're looking at tougher championships?
No, I definitely think, I mean, no coach or player is going to tell you there's good from any loss. Like, I know, like, people don't believe if you're a real competitor, there's no moral victories. But it's also, I mean, there's going to be times you're going to fail. You're going to lose a game or maybe a few games in a row. Nobody's perfect. And it's, I mean, it sounds so cliche, and it's something that I think people throw out there a lot, but I truly believe it. It's like the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And as you said, like earlier, iron sharpens iron. So I think it's even more so if you're going through adversity, but you feel like you're right there, especially if it's against top-notch competition. I think that builds even more. It builds up even more strength for anybody.
You ready to get to Radar's ramblings here?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Hard to imagine that we're getting close to high school boys and girls basketball tournament time. The last time Mahoning Valley School won an OHSAA basketball title for the boys and the girls was Youngstown Ursuline Boys Basketball Division II in 1994. And girls basketball Division III in 2004. Scooter and DJ, I got a feeling that at least one of the area's schools will win it all this year. How'd you like that? That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
My impression's getting better with Radar.
Yeah, it is.
Just need a little more exposure from that.
It is getting better. I mean, before you know it, you'll be doing him. You'll be like a Radar clone.
Oh boy!
He just like, I don't know, when I interact with Radar, I just always think of, because me and you we're nerds and we're Trekkies. I just
Sure.
always think of data when it comes to radar.
Scotty, I was just about to say that the last time that the OHSA had a team from Youngstown win it was 1994, the Youngstown Ursuline Irish. That's pretty spot on, if I do say so myself. If anybody knows radar, they're probably laughing right now.
Well played, bravo.
Thank you, sir.
He loves his dates.
He does he loves his dates. A Tuesday or a Wednesday, the 18th of January, 2023.
What time?
At 3:41 East Coast time. God bless America. Back to adversity. Who's an example of one of the toughest adverse conditions for a team that you saw go through and then come out triumphant, meaning winning it all? I don't care if it's national, I don't care if it's global, whatever it may be. What is the one team that you saw go through the ringer and come out the other side as champion?
I mean, if I'm talking about,
I don't like that you're smiling right now, by the way.
Yeah. A favorite of mine. Now, whether as much diversity as there was, that's debatable. But a favorite of mine, of course, is the 2016 Cavs.
Oh, jeez.
Coach fired midseason.
They went through so much with LeBron.
Down 3-1 in the finals to a team that set an NBA record for wins that year. Again, maybe in the NBA it's a little bit hyped up too much because Draymond did there were circumstances that really helped out the Cavs, but that on the pro level, that's one that comes to mind. Also, from when I was a kid, I loved they were down most of the game, and I think they scored in the final 2 minutes. I'm referencing the 97 Penguins when they knocked off McNeese State.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite childhood memories. And then I think like Springfield more recently getting there, and not just getting there, but then doing it again, over again. I know they came up short. It wasn't the ending everyone wanted. They didn't win a state title. But South Range as well, with the way last season ended, and just that rough outing. I think it was against St. V's when they got, was it Akron? St. V's, they lost.
South Range?
No,
that was Kirtland.
Okay, Kirtland, my bad. But when they lost to Kirtland and to come back this year and
win it all,
not only win it all, but they really weren't challenged outside of maybe.
So I guess that's where I kind of, and trust me, there's a lot of adversity that team went through this year. However, what I'm talking about is more along the lines of the 2018 baseball South Range Raiders, where they went in with a losing record into the playoffs and ran the table and took it all home.
So you're saying something that like nobody would even...
like the 04 Red Sox.
Okay.
Right? Like, they have talent, but do they have enough talent to beat some of these big teams? I mean, the Red Sox story from 2004 is I mean, one of the best written sports documentaries of all time. I mean, you couldn't have written a better script for a Hollywood stage than the Red Sox did in 2004. Regionally, I would say probably, I mean, either one of the Buckeyes championships and a national title. I mean, nobody expected them to beat Miami, and nobody expected them to beat Alabama. Just a
Yeah.
few years. Was that 17?
That's 14.
That was 14?
Yeah, it was the first year of the playoffs.
Oh my gosh, it's that long
Yeah,
ago.
Time flies.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, DJ, I know they came up short. They did, but I thought that Butler's their runs in back-to-back years, just them getting that far, getting to the national championship game, and the one year they were a hair with knocking off Mighty Duke.
Yep.
They had that half-court heave, and it almost, I think it was Hayward.
Yep.
Gordon
Hayward.
And it almost went in. But those, I know they didn't get the ending we all strive for, and we want the end goal is the title.
Yep.
But sometimes you could still a great story can be written along the way, because nobody had Butler even in the Elite Eight both of those years.
No, you're right. We got a few minutes, about 10 minutes, but left in the show. Before I let you go and we get to the Joe Dickey Electric, What's Your Spark? I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple things. Number one, it's come out today. Sources indicate that Matt Canada will stay as the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. As a Browns fan, you're probably elated to hear that. But
I've heard worse news.
There's a lot of coordinator carousel going on right now, and the Browns were in on it. They were going to interview. I don't know if they ended up doing it or not. They were going to interview Brian Flores from Pittsburgh.
I think they did.
And they immediately signed Jim Schwartz, who was the head coach with Detroit at one time. Didn't go so hot. I guess he made the playoffs. I guess that's one of the coups that he has. But
it was a long time.
Is that the guy?
Is 2011
for you? Is that the guy? Not the name. Is that the guy that shores up this defense for the Browns and puts them over the top?
Honestly,
mm-hmm.
I hope I'm wrong, but I doubt it.
Okay.
I do. My top choice.
Yep.
I wanted Flores bad.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I heard from Pittsburgh early on, even before the interview with the Browns, the word out of Pittsburgh was he wasn't interested.
Right.
And I could totally understand that, DJ, because it may be a hot take, it might not, but in my opinion, Kevin Stefanski, he's going to have the hottest. I think he's the number one coach on the hot seat starting next year. Wow. I think he's number one. So if you're a D coordinator, why would you want to take the Browns job if you know that there's a good possibility you could get blown out in a year? Now, maybe, we'll never know. Maybe they told Jim Schwartz behind closed doors that, hey, if things go off the rails again and we ask Stefanski, you're in line to be the head coach.
Well, here's the problem with the Browns. If they axe Stefanski, I think if they end up firing him, it'll be at the end of the year. Because you don't
think they'll do it mid-season?
No, because you have a head coach that also is the offensive coordinator. So you've got to replace two guys and get two guys up to speed. It'll happen at the end of the year. So you've got another year with Stefanski, my friend. It's just too many things that you'd have to put back in the blender. And I mean, yeah, if you're firing your coach, chances are you're not going to win the Super Bowl that year. But at the same time, there's got to be something and some sort of remnants of an offense. Because if you fire him, everything's out the window. Unless you're going to let Deshaun Watson call the plays from the huddle, which wouldn't be the end of the world if your team's in that dire straits. Do you like how much the carousel continues. Because I feel like I'm a huge believer that coordinators have more to do with wins and losses than head coaches. You aren't necessarily in that same camp. Your dad's not in that same camp for sure. Your dad's all about the head coach being the be all and end all.
Yeah.
I don't like that coordinators are let go so quickly. Byron Leftwich is out in Tampa Bay. He didn't really light the world on fire, but you had Tom Brady, who, for all intents and purposes, is the greatest of all time. I'm sure that check down Tom could probably check out of some situations if he didn't think Byron Leftwich didn't throw the pick in the end zone the other night.
No.
I don't know what they want from him.
That's and as fans, I just think it's natural. One of the things I really, in my time getting to know you and working here years now more and more, you're really not you're not one of those guys that'll hear something, and I guess what I'm trying to say is you're definitely not gullible.
Right.
And I think you do, not all the time, but I think you take a more outside of the box approach with stuff, or your mentality. Like, you'll think about things that maybe other people on the surface, they just look at something and take it for what it is, and you kind of think outside of the box. So I like coordinators. I think they could help a little bit, but I mean, the fact is Brady wasn't last year. Statistically, he was a top 5 QB in the league. This year, he wasn't close to that, and he looked cooked, in a lot of these games.
And if you remember, they praised Byron Leftwich last year for his job, and this year he loses his job, even though Tom Brady was the X factor and everything that he had going on in his life. I think that we're too quick to pull the trigger on these coordinators nowadays, and not to look at these $1 million athletes that they're paying so much to and go, hey, wasn't his best effort. Am I wrong?
I think you're right, but also on the flip side, like every Cincinnati fan I listen to, every show I listen to that has Bengals fans on it, or somebody that's affiliated with the Cincinnati organization, most of those people hate Zach Taylor as the head coach, and they say he's a terrible coach, and he got out coached in the Super Bowl in the second half last year, and that's why they lost it. He didn't run the right plays. He had Samaje Perine at the end of the game. He's terrible in this and that. And it's like, I do think that when it comes down to it, it's about, do you have the players? And I do wholeheartedly believe players win games. But at the same time, I think coaches sometimes, when things go bad, they get a little too much of the. I mean, once there's so much money involved, like with these organizations, I think there's just so many variables, even more than sports on a high school level, that it's hard to just put the blame totally on somebody's shoulders. It's hard on any level, but I think in the pros, once you got guys making millions of dollars, I mean, it's pretty much a crapshoot.
I'm interested. It's interesting to me that the people of Cincinnati, think that Zach Taylor's not the guy, being that Marvin Lewis went his whole career without winning a single playoff game.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Zach Taylor has already
took him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but people, like their fans, say it was all because of Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Okay.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean they've got a point, but at the same time, like, you can't rip on Lewis, and then the guy takes you to the next guy takes you to the promised land, and you say, well, he didn't call the right plays in the Super Bowl. Let's do a spark. What do you say?
That sounds good to me.
Let's hit it. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, go over to dickeyelectric.com and visit our good friends. Tell them why Ysn sent you. Scooter, what do you got?
Well, I got TJ. We were talking about adversity today and how we feel adversity, it really kind of builds character. It helps you through struggles, and that's my spark for today. And it ties to me personally, my personal life. I just started getting physical and occupational therapy again because I thought, why not? And I guess it's one of those things where life is not easy for any of us. And you got one of two choices in life. You could either sit there and feel sorry for yourself and say, woe is me, and why is life this way, and why can't things be different? Or you can control what you can control and just make the best of it. And that's what I've had, and I've gotten better with going forward with that mentality, making the best of it, being the best I could be since I started working here. And now it's spilled over into my life outside of here. So I'm not saying who knows what's going to happen with physical therapy, but I'd love to get back on my walker again. I'm doing arm exercises. I'm getting stretched, doing some good leg and hip exercises as well. And one of my favorite things that I ever saw, it was on a T-shirt. I think I shared this with listeners before, but it was a quote, and it said, "Find a way, not an excuse." And that is something that has really stuck with me. And there's still things I get down about. I hope someday that I meet a pretty girl. I want that really bad. But right now, I just have to work hard and, keep at it, be the best person I could be, try to get in a little better shape. And you're really, anybody listening out there, no matter what you're going through, you could get past it, man. You really just got to put the work in, and you could do anything in this great country of ours. So my spark is just me getting back into therapy again, having the courage to, I guess, finally pull the trigger and say yes. And again, not tooting my own horn, but I think that was a big thing for me, and I've already seen some fruit bear from it.
Awesome,
So
man.
that's my spark.
I'm happy for you. That's awesome news. Can't wait to see you in that walker.
Yeah.
Rolling in here. That'd be a great day. Mine, I got to get out there and tell you, people, the struggle is real. Was in Tampa Bay all weekend. My wife, who is a superhero of some sorts, I don't deserve her for everything that she does for us and the kids, able to put up wholeheartedly, handily with the kids while I'm gone, even while I'm there and out doing stuff. But I got to be honest with you, Scotty, the little one, the 1-year-old, has been not sleeping real well at night. She's crying. So last night, I said, all right, Sarah took it, tried to put her back to sleep for like an hour. Didn't work out. So I got up and just tried to play superhero like she does so well. And I was out cold with the baby. It was the baby's sleeping and I'm sleeping. So everybody got some sleep except for me, because in the middle of the night, I got decked in the face by a little baby fist. So to all those parents out there, to all the moms and dads, the struggle is real. I know it. I feel like I haven't slept in about a year and a half, which I'm sure my wife is probably rolling her eyes at right now, because she gets even less sleep than I do. But
all work and no play makes DJ a dull boy.
No, man, this isn't a game. It might be a game to the little one, but she is. Whew, both of us can't wait till she gets all her teeth in, so she's comfortable. And then you don't want to wish your life away, but can't wait for her to have her own bed. Because the crib is rough. But that's going to be our show today. Thanks to our friends over at Toyota of Warren. Thanks to Joe Dickey Electric. And thanks to you for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow from 3 to 4 on the Ysn Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. And, of course, next Wednesday, Scotty will be back with us with Radar and Kristen, and the whole gang will be here. On behalf of Scooter, I'm DJ. We'll see you next time here on a Toyota of Warren Power Hour. Ysn thanks you for